How's it going, Jacob? I wanted to offer my critique of your argument like I gave my word I would. I found your argument to be frankly terrible. After analyzing your argument, I identified 4 fatal flaws with it. I will put the argument on the screen for others just in case they have no idea what I'm referring to. Now, right off the bat, I will tell you which premise I reject, since I think you said you were keen on hearing which premise, if any, I indeed rejected. I reject premise 1, and it's for the reason I've already stated. I still think that objection holds. Premise 1 is making an absolute claim about a situation that is simply not absolute. There are times when the physical is sufficient to produce a given physical effect or event, and there are some times when it is not. Just because a person rejects causal closure of the physical does not mean it becomes the case that for any and all physical effects or events, physical causes are never sufficient thereby. Now, I know you answered this and said either physical causes are sufficient for physical effects or events, or it isn't. You said you can't pick and choose sufficiency. And my retort is that I don't find that reply persuasive or compelling at all. In fact, I find it so lacking in argumentative power that it comes off as a bare assertion or a brute fact that you are selling. The second fatal flaw in your argument is that your definition of the causal closure of the physical is self-serving and can be legitimately denied. You define causal closure of the physical as any physical effect or event, there is a sufficient physical cause or causes. But I would define causal closure of the physical as what Wikipedia says. Quote, physical causal closure is a metaphysical theory about the nature of causation in the physical realm with significant ramifications in the study of metaphysics and the mind. In a strongly stated version, physical causal closure says that all physical states have pure physical causes. Jaegwon Kim or Taegwon Kim, however you pronounce his name, or that physical effects have only physical causes, unquote. Or, as is found on the Information Philosopher, causal closure is the idea that everything that happens in the world is caused by physical objects in the world. Everything that has a cause has a physical cause, according to Taegwon Kim or Jaegwon Kim. Or, as found on SEP, quote, causal closure of the physical, every physical event has a physical explanation. Now, I did find a source that backs you up on your definition at encyclopedia.com, but given that I found 3 credible sources that don't define it like you do, again, that means your definition can be credibly or reasonably denied. The reason why this is pertinent or important is that your definition allows you to act like sufficient causation is intimately or inextricably tied to causal closure of the physical, and your argument is predicated on sufficient causation. Without it, your argument doesn't work. The third fatal flaw in your argument is that it purports to disprove strong emergence, but it actually has nothing to do with disproving strong emergence. Your argument is about causal closure of the physical domain and the supposed consequences of denying that. According to your argument, the consequences are you either lapse into substance dualism or idealism. The fourth fatal flaw in your argument is that you are guilty of acting like there is only one causation, and that is sufficient causation. You acknowledge only sufficient causation because it allows you to shoehorn non-physical causation in and even go so far as to claim that the non-physical is fundamental. Basically, the way your argument erroneously works is that it uses the nature of sufficient causation to say, well, if you deny causal closure and accept my definition of what causal closure of the physical domain means, which I don't, then you are saying physical causes are not sufficient to bring about physical effects or events. So this means something else must be invoked that is sufficient. But there are other causational paradigms like contributory causes and J.L. Mackey's insufficient but non-redundant parts of the condition which is itself unnecessary but sufficient, for the occurrence of the effect, or inus. That concludes my critique and refutation of your argument, Jacob. I want to thank you and whoever else may have done so for watching.